Hey guys, how are you? Mike Musto here from Hemmings. So today we've got a very special episode, for me anyway, of Hemmings Garage coming to you. You see, I just drove my old 68 Charger about 450 miles south from San Francisco down to Southern California for one very special reason. You see, I had the unique opportunity to bring it to Westech and throw the old sled on the dyno after owning it for over 21 years. I've never had it on the dyno, I've never really had it professionally tuned. All I've ever known is that it's a great motor, it always runs good, the old 440 is great. But what I want to do is I want to get Steve in the driver's seat and have him take a look at it, because as everybody knows, that man is the master of everything with a carburetor on it. And to have Westech and Steve look at this thing is honestly a dream come true. Really looking forward to this. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to kind of go for a ride and give me your opinion about this thing.
Oh, Mike. This brings back so many memories. You know, originally, I'm probably known better for big block Chevy stuff.
Right.
But, you know, deep down, I'm kind of a Mopar
guy. Closet Mopar
guy? And there's a reason for it. My first high school car, which everybody wants back and, you know, we can never have.
Yeah.
But it was a 67 GTX with almost this same engine combination in it. 375 horse 440 that I had swapped around and did the right thing at the time and put a Holly on it and took the AFB off. You know, this is just fun stuff for me. I mean, getting to work with a Holly and getting to work with you guys.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of video and get to tune a Mopar.
It's not a terrible day.
No, it's not a terrible day. There are worse jobs in the world.
Yeah, there are worse jobs. I totally agree. Well, let's go for a ride, and I'll kind of walk you through the time that I've had with this car. It wasn't always this nice. I've redone a lot of stuff to it as far as, you know, interior and stuff. But on this motor and this drivetrain combination, I put close to 70,000 miles on it.
Man.
So,
looking at the outside of the car, honestly, I thought it was a fresh build. It's
oh God, no. No, this car's been around for a long time.
See, it's exciting to actually see somebody drive a car, you know, and everybody seems to want fuel injection. I still think classic cars deserve classic carburetors on them. It's very interesting because I'm fortunate. I've got another car that we just did a motor swap on, which is all EFI, but I've always said from day one that the Charger is always going to be a big block and it's always going to have a carburetor on it, because I think it needs to be traditional and it needs to represent what an old school big block Mopar is. I think today carburetors might be underrated by a lot of our current generation. Everybody thinks that the only thing to do is EFI and it's somehow magic. I mean, look, there's a place for everything, but carburetors still have their place, and I think this is one of them. You know, Holley does a really good job at calibrating their street-driven carburetors. This is a 4150 style carburetor, 4780, I think you said.
Yeah, it's an 800 double pumper.
See, it's a good old double pumper, the street calibration. You drove 450 miles, and I'm not sure how much we're going to help this thing. I'm hoping you have something wrong with this, because right now I'm not feeling anything.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I had an 800 double pumper on this thing for about, 15 years, and it was rebuilt 3 or 4 times, and finally I said, you know what, the hell with it, I'm going to pull the trigger and I'm just going to buy a new one. And this was a few weeks ago, and we literally pulled it out of the box, threw it on top of the car, set the floats, and that's it. And I got in and I drove it 450 miles down here. Now, that said, when we first put the car together, and it might be just me getting used to stuff 20 years ago, I always felt like it had more power back then. But it could be something where I'm used to it. I mean, it's a mild 440, 470 lift cam, you know, intake, carburetor, headers, nothing crazy, but it was built for reliability. That's what it was built for. So if I pull out here, can I pull out here and goose it a little bit?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
hoping for. All right, so like if we just roll in and just like,
good enough.
Like it pulls, I feel like it pulls okay.
I think between you and I, it pulls exceptional. I think a whole bunch of that is you just getting used to the car.
Okay.
That felt like it accelerated really well to me.
Okay.
I didn't feel anything really wrong with it. So I'm not sure what we're going to find, but we're going to look at power valves, see if we can help drivability in that range that you spend most of the time at.
Yep.
And you know, we hear all these silly sayings like pinging is power and lean is mean and all that stuff. All of that's garbage.
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to tune the thing so it's correct and so it's right for your application. I honestly would tune a Bonneville engine different than I would tune a drag race engine.
Sure.
But I'm hoping this thing makes somewhere around 330-ish or something, maybe at the tires. I'm thinking that, you know, we talked earlier and you're kind of thinking the same thing. And I think that after you just showed me what kind of performance it already has over there a little bit. That's plenty of power for a street car and an enjoyable street car. But in a street engine, there's kind of a window that we have that's acceptable.
Yeah.
So it has good power, good acceleration, good drivability, and it's not ever going to hurt itself.
Right.
And that's what I want to do.
So we got the car on the dyno. We got a little smoke coming out, and we're just trying to figure out where it's from. We think there's just a loose bolt on the rear valve cover, so we're just snugging it down there. We're going to start it back up and keep it going. Because old cars, this is what they do.
I actually was monitoring the way it drove more than the power numbers.
Yeah.
So you guys actually saw the power numbers and I didn't tell me.
266 and
400. The 400's good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can do a little more than the 266.
Yeah. So a little lighter than I thought it was going to be. So 266 horsepower, but 400 pound-feet of torque at the wheels. What's interesting is when you drive the car, like the ass dyno says it's more than 266. So it's just one of those things where you go, okay, I mean, the motor's going to make what the motor's going to make, right? That said, 70,000 foot to the floor miles, over the last 20 years or so, if it makes 266 going forward and 400, I will be happy with that forever because honestly, I can't complain. It's still fabulous.
Kind of with the initial baseline numbers and kind of our initial look at timing and air-fuel ratios, as suspected, the carburetor is amazingly close. It actually is 12.5 to 1 at wide open. It seems a touch lean on tip-in, so I'm going to check the power valve and see what that is. We also noticed that it's pretty light on timing. It's only, and by that I mean a typical engine like this is probably going to be in the 32 to 36 degrees before top dead center range for ignition timing, total advance. We're looking at about 28 right now. So once we check the carburetor, we'll do a quick baseline, another one, and then I'll come out and I'll give it the old 2-degree tap and we'll see if it picks up some power, and if we go in the right direction, we'll do it again. There's no magic to it. You just follow what the engine's telling us. What I've got here is these are the main jets in the primary metering block. This is the power valve. It has 71 jets in it now, and please don't take this as being the right jet for your car. Everything is all on its own. Each car is different. Each manifold is different. It all is unique to your vehicle. So it comes from Holley with a 71 jet, main jet in the primary. I'm actually going to change it to a 74 because we were actually seeing an air-fuel ratio of 16 to 1 at one point in the primaries. I'm going to richen it up a little bit and also change the power valve so it opens up and enrichment happens sooner in the curve. So we'll see if those two things help the curve, hopefully make a little more power, and we'll go from there. I think you're going to be happy the way it drives now, because even in the passenger seat, Eric liked the way it drove from the driver's seat. I could hear it, listen to it. The air-fuel ratio's fine. So we stopped that little oil leak by putting a Mopar breather on a Mopar valve cover.
Yeah, well, amazing how stock NOS stuff actually works.
It really was. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is try and, I called it a tap earlier. Basically what I'm going to do is I use a screwdriver and a small hammer to tap the distributor forward so I can just barely move it, so I can move it in small increments. I'm going to try and add a little bit of timing to it. I think we've got the drivability squared away. Now we're going to look for a little power. So a few more adjustments, another dyno run. It's interesting how, little adjustments, it will go up incrementally. We started at 266 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. We're now at 274 horsepower. But the crazy part is we gained 30 pound-feet of torque. It's now pushing 430 pound-feet at the rear wheels.
which is great because the torque is what gets you rolling and keeps you going. The whole process is just so fun to watch, and seeing these little incremental jumps means, you know, these old cars, there's no exact science. It's trial and error. It's a little adjustment here, a little adjustment there. And what you have to think about is what you're looking for as an owner and as a driver. Are you looking for flat out, get every ounce of power you can out of a motor? Or are you looking for drivability and reliability and something that you can literally use as a daily driver, but that still makes you giggle and still makes you laugh? I'm excited to go drive it and actually see how it feels from the old butt dyno, not the roller dyno. We're sitting right now, it's idling perfectly. It's smooth. That's what I want. I mean, it pulls fantastic. It pulls great. Like, this is the whole thing. It's just smooth. And this is what I want in this car now at this point in my life. So I really didn't know what to expect when we first came to Westech today. All I knew is that Steve and his team were going to throw the car up on the rollers and they were going to tweak it a little bit. The result was pretty fantastic. Not only does the car drive better and idle smoother, but the power delivery is a lot more linear. And essentially it drives like a fuel-injected car. You know, I think what people have to realize is that this, I mean, yes, it's a good-looking car, but it's an antique. It's 55 plus years old, and yet it can still go out and do modern car stuff, right? I'm still cruising on the highway at 80, 85 miles an hour. It's taken me 20 years to get the car to the point where I'm so thrilled. This is the car that I've always wanted. And here's the thing, if you want that car, it might take you time to do it, but I'm gonna tell you this, find your car, make the investment in it, and enjoy it. Even if it takes you 20 years, I guarantee you it will be worth it. With that said, listen, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you're looking for your dream car, go to Hemmings.com, check out our classifieds, because I promise you'll find it there.
This car makes me want to ask you how much.
Oh man, that's a load of good. This is the one car that we have that I will never sell. My wife and I,
it's the keeper.
We drove this to our wedding 20 years ago. It's the reason that I got into the automotive hobby. This is it. This is my favorite car. I'm very fortunate because I bought this when they were still affordable.
You know what affordable is? The $600 that I sold my GTS
oh, don't
for in
stop
1973.
Stop it. I'm sorry, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh boy.